What would you do if you were the boss of Broadway for a day? Hi guys, welcome back to my musical theatre YouTube channel. My name is Chad Barnier, rhymes with Garnier, and if you are new to this channel and you like musical theatre content and videos and talking all about musical theatre, you're a bit of a nerd like me, then consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that little notification bell so you get updated every single time I post a video. So what is the 41 Broadway challenge? Last week, Stephen Flores from the channel InReelLife, hilarious channel by the way. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe to Stephen's channel right now. He has some series like How Everyone Reacts and When You're Obsessed With, and it's all musical theatre hilarity, and you'll laugh your ass off. So check out that channel. Anyway, I digress. Last week, Stephen uploaded a video, a new challenge called the 41 Broadway Challenge. Essentially, it poses the question, if you were going to New York or you're in charge of the Broadway theatres, all of them, and you could put on your all-star lineup of theatre shows for an entire season so you could see all of your favorite Broadway musicals, what would you put into all of the 41 different theaters on Broadway? So there's 41 theaters, 41 shows. This video is me trying to think of 41 shows that I would love to see. So let's get into it. So the first few answers to this will be pretty obvious if you've been following the channel for a while. They're gonna be my kind of top 5 favorite shows. So my all-time favorite show is Rent, Jonathan Larson. It's one that I absolutely adore. I have a Rent tattoo right here. I think I mentioned these tattoos in every video, and I still haven't done a musical theatre tattoo video. I will soon, I promise. I'm absolutely obsessed with that musical. It's the musical that made me kind of fall in love with the format and the magic that is musical theatre. So Rent is my number 1, and closely followed by Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd is up there in my favourites as well. Number 3, you can't forget about Les Miserables. It's a classic. If it wasn't on Broadway, I'd probably get murdered by Broadway stands. Speaking of Broadway stands, the shows I'd put in theatre number 4 and 5 would be Dear Evan Hansen and Hamilton, both of which I'm in love with as well. Again, more tattoos of lyrics of those shows, but also, let's be real, not having Hamilton on Broadway would just be bad business. So of course I'm gonna put Hamilton in one of the Broadway houses. So this next musical is one of my favorites, and I'm learning to love it even more every single time I pick up a new record with a different cast, or I watch a new interpretation of it. I love it even more, and that's Gypsy. I think it's such a powerhouse show that shows how flawed people can be, even with the best intentions, and I love that idea. And something that I try and recognize in my daily life, that everyone is a bit flawed. And then maybe the next one I would do is Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. The exception to the Andrew Lloyd Webber rule. No, but seriously, I love Joseph, and I think it's a fun musical. Also, an interesting show where all the songs are kind of different genres. I mean, it's pretty Andrew Lloyd Webber to do that, whereas most shows kind of stick to a theme. It's either rock and roll, or it's pop, or it's anthemic, or it's classic, and whereas Joseph it's got like pop and rock and some calypso music, which, as with any Broadway list, there's going to be a lot of Sondheim on this list. So the next one is Into the Woods. This is such a beautiful, all-round for the whole family kind of show. And if I was in charge of Broadway for the day, you'd have to have some family classics. So Into the Woods. And speaking of families, the next one I put on is Falsettos. Maybe not a family kind of show, but kind of tells the story of a breakdown of a family when the father and husband comes out as gay and moves in with his new partner. It's just an interesting show, and a narrative that we haven't seen too much on Broadway. Number 10 is Chicago. I probably should have done like 6, so I can do pop, 6, squish. Oh well. Or I could have done the Spread Eagle as well. Wait, number 10 is Wicked, another family favorite, and it's kind of the intro musical for a lot of teenage fans. It'd be silly as the boss of Broadway not to put such an incredibly well-selling show on. But I mean, I love it anyway. Stephen Schwartz is just an incredible writer. And I think it's actually about to become the #1 longest running show now that Phantom of the Opera is closing or moving. I need to double check that. These next 3 musicals, I'd probably put them next to each other on and call it Comedy Row or Avenue Comedy. So the next 3 I would put on Broadway, Something Rotten, Little Shop of Horrors, and Book of Mormon. All incredibly funny, and I think would be an absolute blast. You can't just have drama and drama and drama. You need some laughs. Otherwise, Broadway would be a very sad, depressing place, and I don't think we want that. The purpose of Broadway is to bring light in the world. Is it? I don't know. I'm going to do a bit of a speed round because there's quite a few on this list. So, I've got My Fair Lady, Waitress, Le Cage aux Folles, number 17, The Spread Eagle, Chicago. Or I could have done The Spread Eagle as well. Wait, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and I think I would go 36 Questions. Now, I know that this isn't a live stage musical. Now, if you don't know 36 Questions, it's actually a podcast musical with Jonathan Groff and Jesse Shelton. It's amazing. It's one of my favorites. I know that this isn't one that's supposed to be in a theater or on stage. They wrote it intentionally that way. But what I would do is I would host a listening party in one of the theaters where everyone has to wear blindfolds and headphones, and they can all experience the show together, listen to it, but obviously it's not going to be staged. But it will use one of the 41 theaters, so I cheated a little bit. Then I would put on Legally Blonde, an incredibly funny and surprisingly witty musical. I think this is what Mean Girls wanted to be. A musical that had every potential to kind of flop, but absolutely smashed it. Then Avenue Q, because you have to have puppets on Broadway. This is my new puppet Roger that I actually made with my good friend Pete, who is a puppeteer, and I'm super stoked about it. His name's Roger, named after Roger from Rent. Yeah, isn't he cute? Then I would put on a whole bunch of Sondheim shows. So we're talking West Side Story, obviously, Assassins, it was one of the best musicals I've ever seen live. Company, we're talking Sunday in the Park with George. The 26th show I would put on would be In the Heights. And number 27, I would have to say Hadestown. If you haven't listened to it already, Hadestown has just finally released their full album on Spotify and other listening platforms, and it's phenomenal. And it's massive as well. So, go and listen to Hadestown. Then I'd go and put Newsies on because I'd need someone to guilt me into going on a diet and so I can look like one of the Newsies boys. And then Mary Poppins. All the chimney sweeps kind of look like Newsies boys a little bit. She Loves Me is another gorgeous musical that I would put on. I saw it last year here in Sydney, and I fell in love with that show. So the next 5 shows I haven't seen, but I know some of the music, and I enjoy it, and I know that a lot of other people love these shows. So that's Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812. I can't believe I said all of that without stumbling on it. Then I'll do Fun Home and Next to Normal. Both beautiful cast albums, but I haven't seen the shows at all. I don't think they've been on in Sydney in quite a while, and I haven't seen them on Broadway. Then Spring Awakening and How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Again, really fun shows to listen to, but what's Spring Awakening, really? Then I would put on Kinky Boots because everyone needs to feel sexy. And then The Lion King because I probably need to put some Disney on Broadway, need to make some money. And so I'd put on Aladdin as well. So Proud of Your Boy is just one of the most beautiful songs of all time. A severely underrated musical that I would put on and that I absolutely adore is School of Rock. I saw it on the West End. I wish I would have seen it on Broadway with Alex Brightman, who's currently on Broadway playing Beetlejuice. Also, I would want to see all of these with the original cast. Maybe a few of them changed up a little bit. Like I'd love to see How to Succeed in Business with like Daniel Radcliffe. I'm a massive Harry Potter nerd. The next one I'd love to see on Broadway to represent some Australian magic is Matilda, written by Tim Minchin, who's a fellow Aussie, and just a gorgeous show that I saw it here in Sydney a year or two ago, 2 or 3 years ago maybe, and every part of that show made my heart warm. It is a delight to see. And the very last theatre that I would fill in the 41 Broadway Theatre Challenge is Fiddler on the Roof, because it just makes you want to sing. If I were a rich man. So that's it for the 41 Broadway challenge. In Steven's original video, he challenged 2 other musical theatre YouTubers to do the challenge. I wasn't one of them. Steven has no idea who I am, but I wanted to do the challenge anyway. But I might throw out the challenge to Katie from the Katie Diaries, another Australian musical theatre channel, and one of the channels I watch the most on YouTube, and Amy Lovett from Amy Lovett's channel. I think that's the name of the channel, it's just her name. If you're not subscribed to either of them, please, please, please go and subscribe to their channels. They're super fun, super entertaining, and you need to check out Katie's series, or Hamilton in Everyday Situations. So my question of the day is, what 41 shows would you put in 41 theatres on Broadway if you had your way with it? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video and you like musical theatre, please consider subscribing. There's plenty more videos just like it, and give the video a big thumbs up. I'll see you next time.
See ya!
See ya!